A team of researchers in the United States and the United Kingdom state that they created the world's first synthetic human embryo like structures from stem cells, bypassing the need for both eggs and sperm. These embryo like structures are at the very early stages of human development. They don't have a beating heart or brain, for example, but scientists state that they could one day help advance the understanding of genetic disease or cause of miscarriages. The research raises critical legal and ethical questions, and many countries, including the United States, don't have laws governing the creation or treatment of synthetic embryo. The pace of discoveries in this field and the growing sophistication of these models have alarmed bioethic experts as they push ever closer to the edge of life. Quote, unlike human embryo arising from vitro fertilization or IVF, there is an established legal framework. There are currently no clear regulations governing stem cell derived models of human embryos. There is an argument needed for regulations to provide a framework for the creation and use of stem cell derived models of human embryos. That was stated by James Briscoe, Associate Research Director at Francis Crick Institute. Dr. Magnalena described the work in a presentation Wednesday to the International Society for Stem Cell Researchers annual meeting in Boston. A professor of biology, Dr. Magnalena, and biological engineer at Caltech and the University of Cambridge, stated that the research has been accepted at a well regarded scientific journal but has not been published. The research was first reported by The Guardian. The doctor and her team, along with a rival team in Israel, had previously described creating model embryo like structures from mouse stem cells. Those embryos showed the beginning of a brain, heart, and intestinal tract after about 8 days of development. The embryo like structure that the doctor states her lab has created were grown from a single human embryonic stem cell that were coaxed to develop into three distinct tissue layers. They include cells that would typically go on to develop a yolk sac, a placenta, and the embryo itself. It also stated that the embryo like structure her lab has created are also the first to have germ cells that will go on to develop into an egg and sperm. Quote, I just wish to stress that they are not human embryos. They are embryo models, but they are very exciting because they are very looking similar to human embryos and very important path towards discovery of why so many pregnancies fail, as the majority of pregnancies fail around the time of the development at which we build these embryo like structures. She also stated that, to her knowledge, it was the first time a human model embryo had been created with three tissue layers, but she stressed that while it mimics some of the features of a natural embryo, it doesn't have all of them. Researchers hope that these model embryos will shed a light on the black box of human development, the period following 14 days after fertilization, which is the agreed limit for scientists to grow and study embryos in the lab. Right now, the synthetic model human embryos are confined to test tubes. It will be illegal to implant one in a womb. And animal research with stem cells from mice and monkeys show that even when scientists have attempted to implant them, they don't survive, probably because researchers haven't figured out how to fully replicate the conditions of pregnancy. The doctor also stated that the aim of her research wasn't to create life but to prevent its loss, understanding why embryos sometimes fail to develop after fertilization and implantation. Quote, we know remarkably little about this step in human development, but it is a time where many pregnancies are lost, especially in IVF settings. Currently, we can say that these synthetic embryos share a number of features with cystis, but it is important to recognize that the way the synthetic embryos are formed is different to what happens when a normal embryo forms blastocysts. There is much work to be done to determine the similarities and differences between synthetic embryos and embryos that form from the union of an egg and a sperm. So this is where we are at this moment in time, right? We have the advancements of technology, or what we can call, right, the advancements of technology, meaning that the technology that they allow us to know directly about. And the main thing that I've stated to people before is that a lot of these things are present. And you know this by way of a lot of the films that they give you, right? In order for, some of these films to come directly out, the information has to be present, right? There has to be some type of substantial evidence. There has to be some type of knowledge. Somebody would have had to been told certain types of information, or at least given that, in order for them to write some of the stories and put some of the information that they are able to or allowed to put directly into a lot of these films. So remember, you have a lot of films such as Infinity Pool, which touches on the aspect of cloning, where a couple, they were in this country somewhere yonder, maybe in Europe, and the guy ended up hitting somebody, and inevitably he was not going to face the type of trial. He was just going to go, directly and face murder, and he was going to lose his life up until he received the opportunity to, in a sense, pay an amount of money in order for a clone to be built of him, and that clone was going to be the one facing the execution instead of him. And that's just one of many films, right? That they have stated, that these technologies, in a sense, exist, or they're giving you, in a sense, a type of view into what it is that they are doing or have been doing for quite some time. And, I get some people may say, like, oh, well, what proof do you have? This is just hearsay. This is just conspiracy and yada, yada, yada. Again, I'm not trying to make anybody a type of believer. If you don't, believe any of the things that I'm saying, that's completely cool and fine. As noted, I've done my own research. I've looked up certain things, and I've come to my own conclusion. It is up for other people to come to their very own conclusion, right? But to get on a another serious note, going back and thinking about the gender war that is directly out here, this is why the gender war is one of the most stupidest things out here, because you have a lot of women that have been told that, okay, well, um, we can basically, fertilize our own eggs by getting our own stem cells and using those, and we don't really need men, and yada yada yada. And guys were like, all right, well, whatever you want to do, that's whatever, right? And you had women all over TikTok and whatnot really hyping this up like this was going to be the brand new move, that they were going to really go and get the stem cells. And this is what they were going to do, right? So now we are at another chain of events where science is like, guess what? We don't need male or female anything in order to create this. So now you just hear nothing but silence from the one portion that was specifically touting the fact that, hey, we don't need men in order to basically have kids and yada yada yada. Well, guess what? Science don't need anybody in order to do it. Now what? They didn't just, the whole thing with the gender war, they didn't just smooth push that directly out the way. So now what? Now what? Now it's going to be complete silence. Now you're going to have people trying to stay, oh no, this is wrong. They shouldn't be able to do this. This is unethical. This is. People weren't saying that when women were sitting up there stating that they can basically impregnate themselves. Nobody was saying that that was unethical. Nobody was saying that that was immoral or anything of that sense. Nobody was saying that. Nope, 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 nope. But the moment in time that science is like, well, we don't need anybody. We can just do whatever it is that we want to do, and that's the end of it. And the other thing I want people to pay attention to, I'm not sure if, some of you guys are gamers or not, but take your time and go look at the Superman film, with Henry Cavill and maybe some of the cartoons, and look at how it was that they were engineering the children there, and how it is that they had, kids to do specific things. Some were going to be warriors, some are scientists, this, that, and the third, right? They had all of them in these stations, right? They were small little babies. They were each in these stations, and they were created for a specific task, right? And then if you look at Halo in the Spartan program, you had kids there that were altered, genetically altered, some of which they might have been made also in a lab as well. So again, in a lot of these games and a lot of these cartoons and a lot of these movies, they're telling you, they're giving you the information so that you won't be shocked, so that it just won't cause a whole bunch of chaos and blow, everything completely out the water. And like I said, they're priming people for these types of things. But it's not more so for the generation of now, it's for the future generation. It's for dealing with the ones that are 25 and younger. Those are going to be the ones that are really going to start to see a lot of this technology flourish. They're really going to be able to put hands on with a lot of the technology that they're talking about, right? That's who a lot of this is geared towards. But like I said before, it's hard to tell a lot of people this because a lot of people aren't looking really towards the future. People are just looking at everything as day by day, right? Instead of looking at things 10 to 15 to 20 to 30 years from now. This is why a lot of people are going to get lost when it deals with a lot of the technology that is going to be coming in the next 5 to 10 years. This is why you're going to have a significant amount of people, in a sense, left behind in the dust because people aren't really trying to keep up. They're not really trying to figure out. They're not really trying to research any of the things that are transpiring with the technology that they are literally telling you about right now. They're giving you a taste of it. They're telling you exactly what it is. They're telling you exactly what is coming. But again, people don't want to pay attention. And a lot of people don't want to pay attention up until it's something that's really going to affect them. So the moment in time that some of the videos that I've put out before, where it dealt with AI, doing stuff at the drive-through, or computers or robots basically making your order at a restaurant, or the hypermarkets that are directly out there. Again, people aren't going to understand up until it really starts to hit home, and the things that they normally did are going to be vastly different because now you got to use your phone to link up to this app for the supermarket in order to now buy your groceries. But again, people will, catch up when they catch up. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this video and everything that I listed in the comment description below. And as always, peace, love, and stay tuned for the next video.